I'll cook dinner tonight, my husband said with a smile, coming home earlier than usual. It was eerie. Lately, he had been acting strangely, but suddenly he was being kind. Look, you're pregnant and must be going through a lot. Even though I'm busy, I should do some housework too, he said cheerfully as he put on his apron. I shouldn't doubt my husband's good intentions, but I couldn't help it. I tried to ignore my suspicions and took a bite of the curry he served. As soon as I did, I collapsed in pain. And then I saw something that must have been used in the cooking. Unbelievable. Just before losing consciousness, I saw my husband's face. My name is Naomi, just an ordinary office worker. My husband Devin and I are colleagues in the same department. We started dating after bonding over common hobbies and got married 2 years ago. Well, I'll be going, he said, avoiding eye contact and seeming awkward. Will you be late tonight? I don't know, probably. As he left, I unconsciously put my hand on my belly. I'm 9-week pregnant. I've been on leave from work since the morning sickness got worse. I can still picture my husband's face when I told him about the pregnancy. He was overjoyed like a child with tears in his eyes as he hugged me, thanking me. I vividly remember us laughing together after accidentally knocking over a cup full of coffee when he stood up too quickly. Despite all this, he has been coming home late from work lately. Before, he used to come home by 8 p.m. at the latest, perhaps out of concern for my health. But recently, he often comes home past 10 or 11 p.m. I've tried asking him about it indirectly, but he dodges the question and I don't know the real reason. I know him well. He's sincere and kind, always putting me first. When I first started taking time off work, he made time for us to talk, even when he was tired. But lately, our conversations have felt distant. Seeing his attitude, I couldn't help but think of a word I didn't want to consider. Cheating. No, that can't be. But the more I thought about it, the more I couldn't shake the thought. Then, an event occurred that turned my suspicions into certainty. One day while we were chatting and watching TV together, a celebrity cheating scandal came up on a talk show. Already sensitive to the word, I felt a cold shiver down my spine. My heart raced with an unpleasant pulse, and I was somehow afraid to look at my husband's face. The show's topic shifted to whether friendships between men and women can exist, and I forced a laugh, trying not to seem strange by suddenly falling silent. What do you think, Devin? About friendships between men and women? There was no answer to the question I threw out, without turning my gaze from the screen. I regretted it, and when I glanced at him, his cheerful expression visibly clouded over. Can we not talk about that? With an awkward, evasive smile, I became convinced. I knew it. He's cheating on me. From the day I had that conversation with my husband, I felt a heavy weight in my stomach. The morning sickness made my mood and physical condition even worse. What should I do now? Confront him? What would happen then? Would he dodge the issue as he always does, or would he confess to the affair resignedly? Either way, it would be painful. Should I continue living as we have been, burdened by this unbearable suspicion? No, I couldn't do that. What was more painful was the sudden wave of nausea. I rushed to the bathroom, unable to stop thinking while crouching. The thought of him no longer loving me or needing me was unbearable. At that time, I heard the front door open. I hurried to the entrance and saw my husband taking off his shoes, apparently having rushed home. It was just past 7 p.m. When was the last time he came home this early? Welcome back. What's up? You're home pretty early tonight. Yeah, I really wanted to come home early today. He hurried down the hallway looking somewhat happy. Seeing his face like that for the first time in a while, I felt a little happy too. As he walked halfway down the hallway, he suddenly turned to me as if remembering something. "I'll cook dinner tonight." Surprised by his words, I watched him enter the kitchen with enthusiasm. A little later, he served curry and a beautifully arranged salad. Before I could ask what was going on, he urged me to eat with an untroubled smile. With that innocent, boyish face disarming me, I said thank you and took a bite of curry. That's when I lost consciousness. I thought I heard his tense voice and the sound of an ambulance siren. When I opened my eyes, I saw a white ceiling and realized I wasn't at home. The smell of disinfectant and people talking. I was in a hospital. Hearing a loud noise, I looked over and saw my worried husband getting up from his chair. He repeatedly apologized and held my hand tightly. According to him, I had collapsed after eating the curry and was rushed here by ambulance. When I had calmed down a bit, the doctor in charge came and shared the results of the examination. There was no immediate danger to my life, and it seemed that our baby was unharmed. Upon hearing that the baby was safe, I felt so relieved that it was as if all the strength had left my body. The doctor said that the main cause of my collapse was excessive stress. Indeed, my morning sickness had been particularly severe lately, and I had been worrying about my husband's suspected affair, which I thought might be one of the factors. But was that really all there was to it? Could I actually collapse the moment I put curry into my mouth just because of stress? A doubt crossed my mind. What was in the curry that my husband made for me? The morning after I spent the night at the hospital and was discharged, I checked the ingredients of the curry he had made for me when I returned home. As expected, there was no way he would leave something that I had an abnormal reaction to, and the pot that probably contained the curry was washed clean. While recalling what I saw on the dining table the night before, I checked the condition of the remaining vegetables in the refrigerator. But there was nothing strange about any of them. What could be the cause then? I wondered as I looked inside the refrigerator again and noticed an unfamiliar container. I picked it up and checked the contents. That night, when my husband came home late, I started the conversation by saying, "There's something I need to talk to you about." I brought up the container I found in the refrigerator and another one. "It's unusual for you to stay up this late waiting for me. You couldn't sleep?" "Well, no, there's that, but..." I gripped my slightly trembling hand tightly. I hadn't been this nervous since my job interview at the company. Are you cheating on me?" I mustered up all the courage I had and spat out the source of my recent anxiety. The pathetic, trembling words faded away and silence filled the room. The sound of the clock's hands moving seemed strangely loud. "Huh?" With a surprised look on his face, my husband let out a dumbfounded voice. In conclusion, my husband's infidelity turned out to be my groundless worry. "Actually..." He hesitantly told me the story, which went like this. Before I went on maternity leave, I had a good relationship with a female coworker named Melissa. Every day, she would ask my husband for help with work or for explanations of things she didn't understand for various reasons. That's why he couldn't go home even when he wanted to. "She's your friend, right? I can't refuse her, and it's hard for me to talk to you about it, too." So that's what was happening. Realizing that it wasn't an affair, I felt relieved from the bottom of my heart. At the same time, my dissatisfaction with Melissa began to bubble up. Since we were doing the same job, of course we would help each other out as co-workers. But it seemed unreasonable to manipulate people for one's own convenience every day and night. Moreover, it seemed strange that she had so much work to do that she had to work overtime every day. Even when I was still working with her, she had this tendency. At first, she would be relaxed, saying, "This is no big deal," but when the deadline approached, she would cry for help. Apparently, her attitude hasn't changed even now. I'm sorry for worrying you, my husband said with a smile, trying to comfort me. I felt so happy with this kindness that I wanted to cry. Then I suddenly remembered the container and took it out. And one more thing, what's this about? That. I got it from her the other day. Melissa had apparently asked him for help with work as usual on the day he got it. But Naomi's not feeling well today, so I'm sorry. Oh, really? That's too bad. She then said, "Oh, I have something nice for you," and took something out to hand over. It was this container. The contents appeared to be homemade curry roux. It's true, I have been surprised to hear that she was into organic products, disliking preservatives and sweeteners, and even making her own soap in addition to cooking and baking. She said it's good for both the mom and baby. I'd be over the moon if I can help you, Naomi. Aw, honey. That's why he rushed home so quickly that day. I felt ashamed for suspecting infidelity. He cared so much for me, and we were able to confirm our bond and resolve the issue. However, I couldn't help but be concerned about the curry roux. When I opened the lid and smelled it, something felt off. Of course, the scent can change depending on the spices used, but once I started worrying, I couldn't stop. So I decided to send it for an allergy test. A few days later, the allergy test results arrived. Melissa's attitude towards my husband and this curry roux made me certain of her intentions. Among the various numbers listed, there was one with abnormally high value: peanuts. I have had a peanut allergy since I was a child. I once ate peanuts as a child, and my throat swelled up so much that I had difficulty breathing, and I had to be taken to the hospital. Since then, I have always checked for peanuts or their ingredients in the food I buy. I had told Melissa about this in the past, so she should know. She's really done it, I thought, crushing the paper with the test results in my hand. Was I the only one who thought we were friends? Did she become close to me from the beginning just to get close to my husband? That alone would have been fine, but trying to harm me without getting her hands dirty and trampling on my husband's kindness is unforgivable. What welled up in me was not sadness or fear, but intense anger. I crumpled up the paper with all my strength and threw it into the trash can with a roar. If you're going to do this to me, I'll get you back. I'll return the favor twice over. A few days after that resolution, in the middle of a peaceful afternoon, a shrill intercom tone, followed by the sound of someone violently pounding on the front door, ripped through the air. Knowing who the person at the door was, I smirked and pressed the intercom's respond button. Yes, who is it? Hey, Naomi, what the hell is this? As expected, Melissa was there, her face pale and panting, interrupting my words. What are you talking about? I asked innocently, and she slammed some documents against the intercom camera. What the hell is this claim for damages? What have I done? It seemed she had only read the title and not the contents. Did she even remember what she had done? Oh, you don't remember? I guess I'll have to remind you then. I played the audio from the voice recorder I had been holding up to the intercom's microphone. Why did you suddenly call me here? Actually, there's something I wanted to tell you. From the voice recorder, the voices of my husband and Melissa could be heard. I could tell that she was holding her breath as she listened. Oh? What is it? I'm getting nervous. Actually, it's a bit hard to say, but you can tell me anything. I like you. Huh? After a brief silence, she changed her tone and asked, Really? My husband replied in a serious tone. Yes. He somehow managed to say the lines we had thought up together, even though he sounded somewhat theatrical. When that was over and there was a brief silence, Melissa's voice, whispering, I'm so happy, could be heard. But I'm with Naomi now, so I can't be with you. My husband seemed to turn on his heel after saying that was all he wanted to say. From a short distance away, her voice called out, "Wait!" The sound of her high heels hurriedly clacking could be heard. "I have a good idea," she said. "You remember the curry roux I gave you before, right? Use that." "I don't see what you're getting at. What do you mean?" "Naomi apparently has a severe peanut allergy. I heard she had a terrible experience as a child, so if you put that in the cooking and have her eat it, it could send her to the hospital. And if things go really well..." At that moment, a shrill voice from the intercom speaker drowned out the recorded voice. With a demonic expression on her face, Melissa pounded on the door, demanding, "Open the door!" Watching her with cool eyes, I thought, what a nuisance to the neighbors. Having decided to counterattack her, I told my husband everything that had happened. He was enraged, and I told him the elaborate revenge scenario that I had devised. Then, as planned, I had my husband play a trick on Melissa, and we obtained solid evidence of what she had done. We immediately went to a lawyer we knew and had a letter of settlement negotiation sent. That letter arrived at her place today. Finally giving up on getting the door opened, she spat out her anger with a rough breath. "Don't you feel ashamed doing such a cowardly thing behind my back? Don't mess with me. I'm just returning the favor. You're the one who started it." "Shut up. I've always hated that part of you. You stole my Devon right out from under me. You bitch." "Well, I don't care what a woman who forces such a thing on my husband says." My unyielding attitude seemed to add fuel to the fire, and her voice grew even louder. "Just so you know, I never considered you a friend. Besides, a woman like you doesn't deserve him. Your ugly face is so embarrassing to look at." Ignoring her continuous results, I calmly called the police. As the neighbors who had heard the commotion watched, Melissa was taken away by the police officers who arrived shortly after. I went to the hospital again just to be sure, and there were indeed no abnormalities found in either me or the baby. Furthermore, it turned out that my collapse was not due to an allergic reaction, but to stress. If the timing had been slightly off, I might have ended up eating that curry. If that had happened, things might have been much worse. The thought sent shivers down my spine. After that, Melissa was fired from her job. Due to the commotion she caused by coming all the way to my house, her misdeeds spread throughout the company, and she is now said to be living a lonely life surrounded by whispers of her bad reputation. As for me, I safely gave birth to a healthy baby boy and returned to work. Now my husband, our baby, and I are living happily together.